thinking people actually came up to me and we talked about, apart from The Devil, the Doctor, and the Water, as I said, that was for political reasons, was Ancestor Stones, because I wrote about women, and you know, I did a lot of research, and I kept saying, it's not your lives, it's a novel, you know, I'll be making up stories, don't worry, and they didn't care, you know, just like, they just wanted to tell their stories, and they wanted to see them in print, and people came up to me so often, women came up to me and told me how much they loved that book, that they never really imagined that anyone would write a book about the kinds of people that they were. And I was always reminded of the quote by Cici Dangaremba when she said that the reason she began to write was because she wanted to see herself in literature, and she'd never seen herself there. And I don't write about myself, but I wrote about those women, and that was their response. For the first time, they'd seen themselves in literature, and they found it incredibly exciting.
Well, can you give us a little taste of that?
Yes.
Maybe?
Well, I'm going to read from Memory of Love. Sorry, which reading to give you, but okay, let me try this one. Okay. So Adrian Lockhart is a psychologist who goes to Sierra Leone in the wake of war. This is his first meeting with Kai Matsure, who is a young Sierra Leonean surgeon. Adrian lives in a flat in the hospital. Kai turns up in the middle of the night after treating a patient and asks if he can crash on the sofa. And the next morning, Kai cooks breakfast for them both. Adrian dresses to the sounds of his visitor preparing breakfast in the kitchen. Efficient sounds that relay a deftness of hand, a certainty of procedure. Still, he dresses quickly. By the time Adrian reappears, the apartment has been overtaken by the smell of frying onions. In the kitchen, Kai Matsure breaks eggs with one hand into a soup bowl and whisks them into a froth. He's made coffee in the teapot and replaced the broken lid with a saucer. Adrian pours 2 cups and sets one where the visitor can reach it, then leans back on the counter. In the silence, a prickle of self-consciousness touches him. He shifts from one foot to the other. Watching the newcomer move around the kitchen, his kitchen, as though he were a man entirely alone in his own space, it is Adrian who feels like the intruder. He has yet to become used to it, the silences between people. In Britain, people came or were sent to see him. He learnt to examine their silence to see if it was tinted with shame or pain or guilt, coloured with reluctance or tainted with anger. He himself used silence as a lure, pitting his own silence against theirs until they were compelled to fill the void. Here those tricks have no place, even with those whom he calls his patients. If Adrian falls silent, so too do they, patient waiting patiently and without embarrassment. Here the silences have a different quality, are entirely devoid of expectation. And so he watches Kai Matsure shaving curls of cheese with a knife blade, swift, deft movements. Next, Kai spoons 2 teaspoons of powdered milk into a teacup, dribbles a little water from the tap into it and mixes the powder and water into a paste. This he adds to the eggs, along with the cheese, relights the gas ring beneath the frying pan, and pours the mixture into it. While the eggs cook, he divides the fruit, scooping out shiny grey-black seeds, cuts a lime in half and squeezes the juice into the orange flesh. They sit down at the table to eat. "Oh, papaya," says Adrian, recognising the fruit. "He's never seen one so large." "Pawpaw," replies the other. "Pawpaw, is that what you call papaya?" Kai Matsure turns and looks at him briefly. "That's what it is." He takes a bite. "Netherlands?" "I beg your pardon." Kai Matsure eats rapidly, hunched over the table, arms either side of his plate, as though ready to defend his food. "Where you're from?" Tears a hunk of bread from the loaf and points it at Adrian's chest. "I'm English," Adrian frowns. "Obvious, surely." "Okay, only we get a lot of Dutch. Medical or emergency? You're not in surgical." "Actually, neither." Adrian takes a sip of his coffee. "I'm a psychologist." The other man looks up from his food at that, raises his eyebrows, inclines his head. "Okay." The word is spoken in 2 parts, split down the centre, as neatly as if he'd used an axe, as though he's considering the statement carefully, examining its likelihood. Adrian might just have confessed to being the Grand Old Duke of York. So did they make you pay for this place, says Kai, changing the subject. Adrian tells him and Kai snorts. For how long? I mean, I take it you haven't immigrated. I'm seconded for a year. So you don't plan on coming to live here for good? No? Well, I thought not. If you did, you'd be the first immigrant in 200 years. Kai laughed his own joke, raucous, ear-splitting. We don't even have tourists, except your sort, that is. My sort. The visitor takes another bite of bread. Nothing. What I meant to say to you was, welcome.
Thank you, Aminatta. So, I mean, writing fiction about Africa, or about your particular homeland in Africa, it allows, I imagine it allows a bit more of a sort of segue through generations, through ideology and so on. What about how you, when you tackle non-fiction, for example, working on documentaries, writing non-fiction, because I know the two of you, Nadifa and Aminatta, you've certainly done enough of that work as well. How do you, which sort of medium is more comfortable for you to sort of express your viewpoint?
Well, I think the reason I do both either is the same. I love hearing people's stories. I'm really nosy, I'm really curious. And I was actually, while I was in Hargeisa, I interviewed a Somali-Canadian psychiatrist who experienced the war. He was there the day it broke out, he saw the tanks come in, and we had these kind of assignations in the lobby of the hotel late at night. And I just got a pen and paper and we talked for a couple of hours each night and wrote down his stories, and I felt so excited because the things he was telling me were really important. That he was talking about the way they set up makeshift clinics in the countryside as people were fleeing. You know, it's history. It was a history that hasn't been recorded yet. So I think that's what is driving me. My motivation is hearing those stories and recording them. So the film project I'm working on at the moment is a documentary series about Somalis in the diaspora moving to Mogadishu. It's now the safest it's been for a long time. It's been maybe a year's worth of peace, which is, you know, a long time. And lots of people are moving back. Lots of people are rebuilding villas or finding work. They're setting up dry cleaners and hotels and restaurants and different businesses. So I was interested in recording that moment as well. So I think for me it's the history, it's the historical aspect of it. It's these small stories that amplify a bigger history.
So, did sort of tackling non-fiction or documentary elicit a more emotional response to, you know, conflict and the environment?
Well, actually, I spent 10 years at the BBC, and it kind of depends. If I write Granta Salon, for example, I wrote one about the only vet in Sierra Leone, and through that, you know, was able to, you know.